Hello, my name is Megan Nolan, and the artist that I chose was Georgia O'Keeffe. A background about her: she was born November 15th, 1887, in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. She grew up on a farm and was the second of 7 children. She died in Santa Fe on March 6, 1986, at the age of 98, so she had quite an impressive life. She was united in marriage with the very first person who displayed her art in 1916. His name was Alfred Steinzlich. She attended the School of Art Institute of Chicago and also the Art Student League in New York, where she learned techniques of traditional painting, and then later on won the Still Life Prize for her artwork, Dead Rabbit with Copper Pot, at the Art Students League in 1908 in New York. Where she created her work, it mainly started in New York. She was given a one woman exhibition in 1946 at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, so this was really big for her. She was the first given woman by that museum, so it was really an honor to be given that exhibit as a woman in that time. So in the summer of 1929, O'Keeffe then began to make the first of many trips to northern Mexico, where she also created a lot of her artwork. She did a lot of traveling, which began in the 1950s, and this traveling really was all over the world. She loved painting the landscapes and sketching different works throughout the scenes that she saw, including mountain peaks of Peru and Japan's mountain Fiji. At the age of 73, she took on many, many experiences that a lot of people didn't know about. Her passion was great. Another thing, she loved creating her work in the backseat of her model, a Ford. So she loved creating a lot of her work in the backseat of her car, which is awesome to me. She liked to do that because it allowed her to stay out of the dry desert heat in New Mexico. It was really, really hot, she explained. When O'Keeffe was not doing her artwork in her backseat, she liked to hike, camp. She definitely liked to be in her artwork and, be surrounded by her artwork and feel it and, really experience it. Important information about her. She always strived as a kid to be an artist, so I think she was very, very passionate and motivated to do her art and her work that she did create. She worked very hard for all of her accomplishments. She was best known for her paintings of her large colored flowers. These were described as just beautiful, really just awing, that you could really get drawn into, have many different perspectives within these pieces of flowers that went all different ways. They're quite beautiful. We'll get into them. Then she so during this time, Sigmund Freud was also very popular in the United States. He expressed the unconscious thoughts or desires that we have as humans, and that kind of went against her art you could say, and kind of gave like different perspectives on her art from people. So she denied all of those claims and refused any collaboration with Sigmund Freud of any sort. But I thought that was really interesting because a lot of people would compare her art to like feminine parts. And so that was interesting. Like the center of her flowers were often compared to vaginal parts in a woman. So yeah, it was interesting reading about the comparison of how they battled in their times of life. She actually created more than 200 paintings of flowers, but this was out of her 2,000 plus paintings. So the flowers were a large part of her, but not everything, because she had 2,000 plus paintings. A lot of the other paintings were the landscape or the cityscapes that she experienced in her living. She quit painting 3 times. So this, I mean, is a popular thing among artists sometimes, but 3 times is like, whoa, and she came back. She riddled with finance troubles and had lots of anxiety and nervous breakdowns throughout her career. So, and even as she got older, another reason, well, and she continued to do some work, but her eyesight began to give out. And that the failing eyesight forced her to give up painting entirely. So, she went to clay making, clay modeling after that. She fought really hard to keep working. She continued with watercolors until she was 95. So she really didn't give up art until she was resting. So she was very passionate, and she changed America's feminist perspective completely in her unique artistic style. So her passion and determination left a legacy. The first piece is the Jimson Weed, 1936. So this is the largest O'Keeffe flower paintings that she ever created. And this was to be hung in an exercise room in New York, which I thought was extremely interesting. But she placed 4 blossoms in a design around that emphasized fresh beauty with light within the palette. The Black Iris, 1926. This was one of her most famous irises. She had a Catholic upbringing, which could be closely related to this. She rejected any notions of the Sigmund Freud, which could be seen in this image. The Cow's Skull with Calico Roses, 1931. This piece was the rugged mountain terrain placed out in New Mexico. This was a real experience for O'Keeffe, and you can see that in this piece. The Oriental Poppies, 1928. This is one of her most famous paintings as well. This is 2 giant poppy flowers, which like fill the entire canvas and are just beautiful, vibrant colors. And this personally is probably one of my favorite pieces by her. I wish I had this in my house. The Ram's Head with Hollyhock, 1935. This was an ounce of new freedom and inspiration. This was after she actually had quit and was absent from her artwork for a while. So this piece kind of brought her back and is really one of her most important pieces of work that she had. The Black Place, 1944. This was a piece that kind of displayed isolation in her life, and she She made lots of camping trips and just lots of trips by herself, and I think this piece was displayed in that, how she kind of would venture off on her own. She had multiple Black Place 1, 2, 3 paintings that visited different pieces of work. The Ladder to the Moon, 1958. This painting shows a handmade wooden ladder in a turquoise sky, which I think is very beautiful with the moon way up in the high sky. Sky Above the Clouds. This is another well-known painting by her. It's definitely very, very head in the clouds, dramatic perspective. It's a wonderful piece of work that she had living, you know, day to day in her career, just the ambitions that she created throughout her life. And then here are my references. Thank you for listening and learning a little more about Georgia O'Keeffe.